Welcome back to True Crime with Jackson. Today we're traveling north to the vast, unforgiving wilds of Alaska, where one of the most disturbing and calculating killers in American history lived and hunted. This is the story of Robert Hansen, the so-called Butcher Baker, whose quiet existence hid horrors the city of Anchorage couldn't begin to imagine. Anchorage in the 1970s and early 80s was a city on the edge, an oil boom town, rapidly expanding, eccentric, fueled by money and newcomers from all over the lower 48. In that chaos, people could disappear without much notice. But by the early 1980s, there were whispers. Girls and young women, many of them dancers or sex workers, had vanished. A few were found, bodies far beyond the city, deep in the woods. The wilderness, expansive and indifferent, swallowed up evidence and for a long time, suspicion. At the center of this silence stood Robert Hansen. To neighbors, he was unremarkable, a bespectacled middle-aged baker who ran a successful shop. He lived with his wife and kids, ball hunted for relaxation, and seemed to like solitude. But behind closed doors, Hansen nursed old grievances. As a boy, he'd been shy, awkward, bullied for a stutter and severe acne. Rejection fueled resentment, especially toward women. Hansen's hunting obsession went beyond animals. By night, he stalked the streets of Anchorage, picking up women, promising money, sometimes forcing them at gunpoint into his car. His method was as cruel as it was methodical. Some he would threaten or assault and then let go. But others were driven to his remote cabin, far from any hope of rescue. The trip was terrifying. First, a small airplane. A bush plane was Hansen's favorite way to disappear into the Alaskan wilderness. From there, the ordeal became unthinkable. Hansen would release his victims into the woods and hunt them like animals, armed with a rifle and a knife, tracking them across the spongy, relentless ground. It was a killing game, one designed to satisfy every impulse that ordinary life denied him. Police didn't notice the pattern at first. Runaways, sex workers, these were lives easy to overlook, especially in a city constantly in flux. But in 1983, a young woman changed everything. Cindy Paulson, just 17, escaped from Hansen. Bound, terrified, and left alone in his car while he loaded his plane, she managed to kick open the back door, run barefoot and in handcuffs to the highway, where a passing driver picked her up. Paulson was taken to safety, told her story to Anchorage police, and gave one crucial detail. She could describe Hansen's house and the inside of his plane. Officers cross-checked flight logs. Sure enough, Robert Hansen's name appeared. Still, Hansen denied everything. He was polite, almost meek in interrogation. One detective, Glenn Floth, was convinced. He obtained a search warrant. Inside Hansen's home, they found a map carefully marked with dozens of X's. Grave sites scattered through the Alaskan wilderness. Hidden throughout his house and bakery were pieces of jewelry, trophies taken from victims. There was no question. He was the killer. Investigators began to dig. For years, women's bodies had turned up in shallow graves, many never identified. Now, with the map and Hansen's confession, the world learned about his campaign of terror. Hansen ultimately admitted to abducting and murdering at least 17 women, though the true number may never be known. Many of the sites on his map belonged to bodies still missing. The news stunned Anchorage. People wondered how someone so ordinary could commit such monstrous acts and go undetected for so long. The city took a hard look at how it treated its most vulnerable. The case changed Alaska's approach to investigating missing persons, especially those on society's margins. In 1984, Robert Hansen pleaded guilty to 4 murders and was sentenced to 461 years in prison, ensuring he would never go free. He died behind bars in 2014 at the age of 75. But the impact of his crimes continues. Many of Hansen's victims remain unnamed, buried in lonely parts of the Alaskan wild, known only by cold winds and distant mountains. The city Hansen haunted has not forgotten. Neither should we. That's the story of Robert Hansen, serial killer, hunter, and perhaps the reason the wilderness around Anchorage still inspires a shadow of fear. I'm Jackson, and this is True Crime with Jackson. Thank you for watching. Stay curious and stay safe.